Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where today Life on the Road continues. It is time, as I said in my last update, to embark on an adventure with the Aston Martin Vantage GT8. Now sometimes this car is a little bit neglected, but it is such an epic thing to drive. Today we've got a big old journey ahead, the start of a massive road trip. Today heading across the Eurotunnel, France, Belgium and over to Germany for a blast on the Autobahn. To date, in the 4 years that I've owned the GT8, just under 4 years so far, I've driven it about 7,000 miles or so, but we're going to be adding almost 50% to that, I think, 3,000 miles or maybe more over the next month or two as we head around Europe going to lots of insanely cool things. In fact, I can't quite believe what's about to be coming up. Things are going to be getting crazy. Now I've had to take off the front splitters, I'll talk all about that in a moment. This car is actually a brilliant GT, as we've just discovered loading up all of the luggage, but it's the last of the old school, that massive naturally aspirated engine, 6-speed manual gearbox, ridiculous titanium exhaust, and just think what this is going to sound like in, well, a couple of minutes for you guys, but a few hours for me when I've got over to Germany, I'm on the Autobahn, and I can put the foot down and we can let it scream. I'm sure this trip is going to involve a visit to the Nurburgring at some point. The car has been around, I've not driven it around myself, but there's a lot more in store. Let's get started though. I'll explain what's going on with the splitters, then we'll get on the move. I'm sure you all know all of the details about the GT8. I won't go through it all again, but it's such a driver's car and I cannot wait to get it back on the roads. I've had a few big adventures with the car to date. We did Fuel Faction Due all around Italy to Sardinia. I took it back to Rome, chased the Mille Miglia. We also took it on the Ring Wing Ting about 2 years ago, but it was mostly driven by BenzeneBen and Joe Achilles, so it's been around the ring, but I've never driven it, which is what we need to sort out when we do eventually get there. I've also had it up in Scotland, in Glasgow and St Andrews, driven some amazing roads, but it's also quite a good GT car. I need to explain what's going on with the splitters though, because I just had to take them off. Well, I had to take them off in the storage before I brought it here to the garage. Of course, it has these extended splitters, which later on today, I'm going to need to put back on. So there's downforce at the front to match the downforce from the wing at the rear. But here in the garage, if they're on, it cannot get over this dip. It is too low, there's no lift system, so I actually have to take them off to bring the car into my home garage. Of course, it works over in the storage, here not so well. Let me talk a little bit though about the luggage, because it's quite surprised me how much I've managed to fit into the car. This is the valet key. Let's just pop open the boot, turn on the light so we can see back here. Well, we've just loaded it up. We've got a few suitcases because we're on the road for a month or so, a load of bags as well. You could fit even more. You can even take out this parcel shelf, and I've seen people actually manage to squeeze in full bicycles taken apart with the wheels off into the boot of a Vantage. We've actually got the splitters just inside their packaging under there at the moment, but not only do you have the boot space, but inside you also have this whole parcel shelf right behind. This car has a lot of room inside it, very well designed for this kind of purpose. Obviously it's quite an endurance car, it's hard work to drive, heavy steering, heavy clutch, heavy gearbox, but overall a very rewarding experience. So I guess we need to get it started. We will have a ridiculous cold start. We'll get on out. We've got about 9 hours ahead today where we're heading towards something epic. Yeah, let's get on the road, get over to Germany, get on the Autobahn and see what this is made of. The traffic out of London this morning is not ideal, nor is the weather, but I tell you something that's cool. This car has Android Auto. Yes, the Vantage GT8, the old school Aston, that in so many ways is behind everything else in terms of technology, seems to still have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which obviously makes things a touch easier just for having Waze up, for having the navigation up, which significantly beats the normal built-in navigation. So we do have quite an extended route in front of us. I think if I just go here, look, we've got 505 miles, 9 hours to go, which is a long old drive. I hoped it was going to be about an hour less than that. Obviously we'll pop it into kilometers when we get to the Eurotunnel train, but it's nice to be taking this car on a journey. And you know something else that's funny? I'm not sure. No, I've never driven this car on the Eurotunnel. Obviously on Ring Wing Ting it went across the Eurotunnel, but when it went down to Italy it was transported, and when it came back from Italy, gosh, I remember that day well. We were at Lake Garda, and I had to get the car to a truck to take it home, and then couldn't drive because it was a holiday day in Austria, so it was all a mad panic early in the morning, but wasn't necessarily needed. Anyway, I'm waffling on. We will continue. Hopefully this is all going to go to completely to the schedule and on plan, get to the Eurotunnel, across the short half-an-hour hop in France, then we've got a couple of hours going through Belgium, and then the Autobahn beckons. On the way around the M25, we have a massive tunnel, and we are, well, here in the UK, so we can't exactly do anything particularly exciting other than prepare this car is so just gone through passport control, but we're going straight through. So we are basically skipping past the Flexi Plus Lounge for this journey because there are not very many trains today. In fact, there is a train very shortly, and then the next train is going to be a full hour later. So we want to get a move on to make sure that we don't have to wait any longer than needed. But it's turned out to be quite a nice day. It was actually a little bit wet and miserable in London. It is now blue skies and looking magnificent. So we will get straight over. We've had a fuel stop so that we don't need to stop along the way with the current rules, meaning we can get all the way to Germany on the one current tank basically. But we will take the single deck. Trick if you're ever taking the Eurotunnel in a supercar, take single deck because it means, yeah, we're literally going to go straight through. It means that you're not very likely to curb your alloys, which is obviously a better position to be in. Wasn't expecting to do this in quite such a rush, but happy to take it. We'll go immediately through on the green light and go board the train with the buses and the Range Rovers and the other tall vehicles. On we go with probably the noisiest car to ever go through the Eurotunnel train. Setting speed records, no, not this time round. And just like this, we are arriving on the sunny French side of the Eurotunnel train. Touchdown to French tarmac, so we've got about 6 hours to go from here, which is going to make it, well, a fairly lengthy drive. We're actually going to get there after the hotel reception we're going to tonight closes, so that's definitely going to need a phone call. But we'll see how it goes, straight through France, straight through Belgium, into Germany and the Autobahn. We've pulled over then to install these, the carbon fibre front splitters. They're actually quite easy to do. I have shown this before, but now that of course we have the faster speed limits of European motorways, we're heading towards the Autobahn where we can drive well, quite significantly quicker. And I'm interested to see how quick this car can actually go. I need to install these, and yes, they are absolutely filthy. I probably should have got them cleaned up, and they are quite hard to work out. These have actually been PPF'd. Topaz put PPF on these as well, so I can kind of just put them down on the floor. We've got a ratchet, we've got some screws, and I've got to work out exactly where they go. But loosely speaking, let me try and do the first one. You just line it up under here. Hopefully you get it right. First go, it says, there we go. Screw that in place. I'll actually need to get down on the floor to do it properly. And just loosely pop them in for the moment. It's not too hard to do. 4 on each side. Tighten them up. In a moment, we'll have the splitters on. Onto the last screw. Just need to ratchet these in. Make sure they are nice and tight so they're not going to be coming off. There we go. Done. Front splitters installed. Not too bad, and it does look massively cooler when you have those fitted to match with the wing at the back. You just have to watch out if you have any speed bumps or, let's say, low hotel garages. Now, I don't know what the hotel is going to be like later on, but I'm hoping that's not going to be a problem. It should give the front end a little bit more, well, a little bit more grip. It keeps it more planted down towards the ground though, which is exactly what we need right now. After the UK and France, we are heading into Belgium. So, our third country of the day. We head towards dusk, but the fourth country, into the Netherlands. So, not that long to go. The Netherlands now has this crazy speed limit where during daytime hours it's 100 kilometers an hour, and then in the evenings it's 120 or 130 depending on what road you're on. But still cruising. Now then, we arrive in Germany. Of course, it is dark, but what I'm going to do with the car, sorry, it's very dark here so you can't quite see, is open the exhaust valve, drop down some gears because we are here on the Autobahn. Sounds absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's not the fastest thing in the world. Have a look at the dashboard as the truck pulls in. And we can put the foot down. Just from a 60 into the de-restricted second gear. This will never get old. Never, ever, ever, ever get old. It's just not that fast relative. Into sixth gear at about 230 kilometers per hour. And then savage blip downshifts. And back on the power again. Imagine what a car like that is as we go past. On the power, high in the rev range. Madness. Of course, having those front splitters on does actually slow you down. Downforce equals drag. But it's just a hooligan's delight. It's far from the quickest, but that is plenty fast for us into the 270s, 273 kph. Well, yes, that's about 170 miles an hour. More than enough for now. Talk about dead arrow straight. Little uphill though. And onto the brakes. I'm not quite sure how much you can see of what's ahead of us, but there is a gigantic entourage for some heavy goods transport, and it's probably added about 10 minutes to our journey. I'm not quite sure what they're moving. Maybe we're going to be able to find out in a second. Oh no, the police minivan has definitely stopped us. So this has been a long drive at about 30 kilometers an hour for the last extended period, and now something mysterious is being transported up here. I just can't tell at all what it is. Something very large. I don't know if you can see it on the camera better than I can, but the blinding lights of the police and the transport vehicles is not exactly helping, so that's annoying. We were knocking off some wonderful time with the Autobahn. It's heading towards 11 at night, but we'll get there when we get there. We will probably never know what it was that they had to get around the corner there, which looks like they couldn't easily get it around the corner. Oh well, onwards for us, unleashed, off we go again. Made it and parked up after a long old drive, but I tell you what, it is so quiet and peaceful where I am right now, I actually want to whisper outside. Now today we've covered about 500 miles, 800 kilometers or so, and having started earlier with 7,000 miles on the clock, that means in one day I've done a 15th of the GT8's lifetime mileage, and this is just the start of this tour. Now the car is currently just out here, it's actually drizzling ever so slightly. Let me turn on the light, and of course it is now absolutely filthy. The downside of aero is that back here, where you have the cutaways, for example, like the GTE race car, the tyres just throw up everything down the side sills, especially on the bright Golf orange paintwork. So that's definitely going to need a clean up at some point, and I'm sure you've also spotted this. Just seems to be a side effect of hand-built supercars or sports cars, just something you do kind of get used to. Thankfully, no further problems with the low front splitters. I think generally you can manage so long as you don't have speed bumps or really aggressive driveways, but here it's not too bad. And overall, this car as a GT is actually fairly comfortable and civilized. If you don't have the exhaust valve in the noisy mode and you just drive it gently without the valves open at all, it's really quite comfortable, nothing crazy. Obviously a decent amount of luggage space as well in the back. I think you could do a lot of miles with it very, very comfortably. Honestly, quite a surprise really to use it for this kind of purpose. I've taken it on a few big tours before, but not that many days when I've done quite so many miles literally in one hit. In fact, potentially never. I'm not really sure, to be honest. So it's great to have the GT8 back out on the road. Obviously the start of some pretty epic things to come as well. I can't really tell you all about it other than stay tuned, because mega stuff on the horizon. The next couple of days, I've got quite a lot of really, really massively epic things. Plus, of course, I'll be taking this back to the Nurburgring, heading back around Germany, some more Autobahn runs. Who knows what there's going to be time to do over the next couple of weeks, with some flying backwards and forwards. All very complicated, depending, of course, what travel restrictions actually allow. For now, though, here in Germany, 500-mile mission success with the Aston Martin Vantage GT8. Still absolutely love this car. A proper hooligan's machine. So much fun when you rev it out, when you hear that sound, when you feel the engagement from the car. Just a bit of a workout as well when you're driving on, you know, some twistier roads, for example. Yeah, awesome. Anyway, I'm shattered. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. As always, guys, I appreciate your support an awful lot. And I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!